Practice JavaScript objects with this code challenge. In the previous video, we solved the first part of this challenge. If you don't have this file, you can get the code from the comments of this video. So here we have two files. The first file is index.html, and we also have mall.js that has the implementation of the first part. Here we have the object inventory, and then we implemented several methods. And eventually in the console we see that inventory after add elements, and we have some resources, then inventory after add element, and then inventory after take element. And this is the initial state for this part. So if you scroll a little bit down, you will see that the second part is commented out. And now in the console we see that craft potions, and then craft results undefined, 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 and inventory after crafting, and currently it has the same inventory as we have above. So here we need to implement only one function, craft potion. Here we have some recipes. So for example, this is the recipe for the speed potion. So it requires 1 water and 2 air essences, and the function itself has 2 parameters, potion name and inventory. So here's the example how it looks like. So for example, you want to craft a power potion. For that you have a recipe with 2 fire and 1 earth essences. And eventually you return an object which is a potion. In the code it looks like this. You have a simple object where you have only one pair, the effect name and the value. So then you have 2 parameters, the recipe and the inventory. And this function should update the inventory and craft a new potion. For example, we had 5 fire essences. Our recipe requires 2, so we update the inventory and now it has only 3 fire essences. And also you should check that if in the recipe is more resources than in the inventory, you just show a message that you don't have enough resources. As always, try solving it your own, but right now, let's solve it together. So the first point that we have is to craft a potion using the recipes. And we also must ignore invalid names. So for example, if I ask for regenerate potion, but we don't have this recipe, our function does nothing. So I start from checking that our potion name is in our list. So I check with the first name, which is a speed potion, and if our potion name is speed potion, we need to craft this potion. So I craft a new potion and then I return it. But we also need to update the resources in the inventory. So before crafting the potion, let's update the inventory. Our recipe needs 1 water and 2 air. I subtract 1 water and 2 air from the inventory. But we also need to check that there is enough resources in the inventory. So now I check that the inventory contains more than 1 water and more than 2 air. I compare it using the more or equal operator, because even if we have only 1 water, we anyway can craft this potion. But if we don't have enough resources, we need to show the message. And now if I save this file, you see that the craft result is still undefined, but now we have the message that you don't have enough resources. And this is because in our previous log, we had 0 air, so we can't craft this potion. Now let's write the same pattern for the power potion. So I write that if the potion name is equal to power potion, and now let's copy this recipe and paste it above this part, so we can easily see which resources we need. Now I check that the inventory has more than 2 fire and more than 1 earth. Then I update the resources and craft a new potion. Now in the console, in the craft results, we see a new potion with a damage of 5. And also we see that before we had 3 fire, but now we have 1 fire. And the same with earth. We had 2 earth, but now we have only 1. Now I think that you can do the same for the third potion. I wrote the part for the health potion, and now as you see we have craft results undefined, then our power potion, and then our health potion. And now in the inventory after crafting, we see that all resources have been updated. I also found that I forgot to add this message, so I update my power potion and health potion parts. And as you see, this is not the best way how to write a function because we have many repetitions. So the same line, you don't have enough resources, repeats 3 times, and the pattern for each part is the same. But I think that this is much easier to understand how this function works, and with experience, you will learn writing better functions. So ideally, this function shouldn't be updated if we add a new potion. But currently, if we want to add a new potion, we need to update this function as well. In the next video, we will continue learning about objects, but we will talk about reference type and value type.